everyone, my name is Lexi and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be discussing books that are worth the hype. It is so lovely to see you and welcome back. Today I'm like red cottagecore with this dress. I really like this dress. I feel like so fancy every time I twirl in it. But anyways, that's not what we're here to discuss. Today I have put together a list of books that are worth the hype. So I feel like we've all had those books where we hear a lot about them and then we pick them up and we are sadly let down. However, in my opinion, there are some books that universally are usually worth the hype, and these are my books that I think are worth the hype. It's just my opinion, so if you've read these and you hate them, that's valid, but I like them, okay? And I just wanted to share these in case you had heard about these books, but you were unsure if you should read them. These are books that I think you should read. So the first book I want to talk about is the book that has kind of been the inspiration behind this entire video, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. This is a book that follows Linus, and Linus is a caseworker for magical children. He goes to different orphanages to make sure that children with magical abilities are not harming themselves or anyone around them, and that also people around them are treating them with respect. And he really loves his job because he really loves children. One day he is assigned a top secret mission to the House in the Cerulean Sea, which is an orphanage with children so dangerous that they might bring the destruction of the world. But when he gets there, nothing is as he is expecting the things to be. Things are unexpected. Yes. And when he is there, he sort of starts to fall in love with all of these children and their caretaker, and it's just beautiful. The found family in this is peak. Like, it is unmatched. It is absolutely stunning. Also, the atmosphere in this book is a 10 out of 10. But I think one of the reasons why people really love this book is it's not just a good story with fabulous characters. I can't believe I just said the word fabulous. But the reason this book is so wonderful and I think universally loved are the topics and themes discussed in this book. They're themes about feeling alone, no one understands you, or like you're not good enough. There's a lot of themes about anti-colonialism in here. It's just like a lot of really, really wonderful things. And it's really beautiful. And I really, really highly recommend it to basically everyone. The next book is a book that is a little bit older, but still very hyped up on Booktube and for good reason. And that is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. If you have been hearing about this book and if you have heard about the movie and you still haven't read it, this is your sign from the universe to pick up this book. So this follows Wade Watts, and Wade Watts is growing up in a world where like everything has kind of gone to shit. He basically lives his entire life online in something called the Oasis, which is like a virtual reality. And you can do everything in the Oasis. You can go to school in the Oasis, you can date on the Oasis, and you kind of like create your own avatar. The creator of the Oasis actually passed away, and he left all of these Easter eggs or clues and said, if you can figure out all of the Easter eggs or clues, you can inherit the Oasis and all of my money. For years, people have been trying to figure out all of the clues, and the first person to crack it is Wade Watts. The next one is actually a book series, and they are little novellas. And as soon as I say this, you will recognize it, and it is the Every Heart a Doorway series by Seanan McGuire. These books have been talked probably to death all over Booktube. However, if you have not picked these up, I cannot recommend this enough. I remember the very first time that I read the book and I had no one to talk to. I ran upstairs and I was in tears and I was like, Mom, can I please talk to you about a book? And I remember like she was asleep, so she was not very happy, but she did wake up and listen to me talk about the book for 2 hours, so love you, Mom. I won't talk about all of the different books, but the very first book, Every Heart a Doorway, essentially follows all of these children who have gone to other worlds like Neverland or Wonderland, and they've come back to this one, and they are having a really hard time adjusting to reality. So they are sent to this school, and the school tells the parents like, we will help them adjust because like clearly they don't know what they're talking about. However, once they're in the school is like, no, this really does happen, and we're going to try to help you guys adjust to the real world. And a lot of the students are actually waiting to get invited back to their other respected worlds. Some of them can go, some of them can never go. But there's so many cool things about the very first book. There's kind of like this secondary plot of like a murder mystery element that's happening, but also we're learning all about the individual worlds. All of the novellas that follow then follow like individual people going to individual worlds. It's so good. It's so good. Highly recommend. Wonderful. It's an adult fantasy series. I think you'll love it. Next up is a book that was talked about a lot on Booktube when it first came out, but for some reason it has had like this huge spike in popularity on Booktok, which is another reason I wanted to make this video, because everyone on Booktok is talking about this book, and for good reason, and that is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I've actually also met Madeline Miller. I had her sign my Circe copy. Circe is another book that I think is like overhyped, but also it's not overhyped because the hype is real. Circe is wonderful, but I really just wanted to talk about this book. So this is following two characters from the Iliad written by Homer, Patroclus and Achilles, but we're really following Patroclus's viewpoint, I guess. Patroclus is a prince who was exiled, and he then has to go and serve Achilles, who is another prince, and he is a demigod. And it's about their friendship before they go to the Trojan War. But like, it's not just a friendship, because they develop feelings for each other. So if you are interested in like friends to lovers, this is peak friends to lovers. It is so beautiful, like the mutual pining, the like forbidden love aspect, the friendship, like it's just so unbelievably gorgeous. Highly recommend this to people even if you're not interested in Greek mythology retellings. I just think it's so good. But also I recommend this to people who love Greek mythology retellings, because I think that this is kind of the best. Next up, we've got a book that I read last year actually for a Dark Academia vlog, and I loved this book so much. I think I gave it like a 4.5 stars. It was wonderful. I'm very excited to continue on in the series because it is going to be a series. And that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I will say that this book is not necessarily for everyone, but if you're interested in Dark Academia and in fantasy, I think that you will really, really like this book. This book follows Alex, and Alex has been invited to go to Yale because she has a magical ability to see ghosts. And in this Yale that Leigh Bardugo has kind of like spun, all of the secret societies have like magical elements to them, and Alex has to make sure that she keeps all of the dead people away from these secret societies. There's a secondary plot, and it's kind of like a murder mystery. I wasn't as interested in that, but it all ties together so beautifully at the end that it was completely worth the entire journey. I know some people have mixed opinions on it, but personally, I highly recommend it, and I think it's definitely worth the hype. The next book is a book that I'm sure you've heard every single booktuber mention, and that is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book is so good. It is worth every single good thing that has ever been said about it. This book is about Evelyn Hugo, and Evelyn Hugo is like the coolest, most badass protagonist I've ever read about. She decides that she wants to be an actress, and she really does whatever it takes to become an actress. She's a very flawed character, but I think that's why I like her so much. Taylor Jenkins Reid does such a wonderful job at developing fully real characters. Like, they feel so flawed and so realistic. And this is just following her time as an actress and all of the 7 people that she has met. So she does get married 7 different times, and it's following like her love life. There are so many cool twists in this, and it's just really, really beautiful. I don't know, I highly recommend this book to absolutely everyone, especially if you're interested in like kind of the Hollywood glamour. I feel like this book does that very, very well. Next up, I have the book without the dust jacket, sorry. But next up I have Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. So we have 2 books on here by Leigh Bardugo. I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually didn't want to pick this up because the hype for it was so big that I was intimidated. And the reason I picked up this book is because my Instagram followers voted on it so that I could read it in a vlog. And I'm so glad that they did, because this book is one of the best books I've ever read in my entire life. So Six of Crows, I feel like most people have heard about this because it is pretty talked about on YouTube, but it follows a group of like outcasts. They're all in kind of like a gang together. They are going on like this impossible possible heist. And I don't want to mention the heist at all just because I feel like it gives away some things, but it is so wonderful. It is so good. This band of like misfits almost becomes like a family. They have my entire heart. You will root so hard for so many of the couple dynamics in this group as well. If you like stories with heists, with found families, with really high stakes and like a very fast-paced read, I think you will love Six of Crows. It is a fantasy and it is absolutely wonderful in every single way. The next book is a book that I feel like a lot of people have talked about, and that is The Diviners by Libba Bray. Now let me just tell you, anything by Libba Bray is not overhyped because Libba Bray deserves all of the hype. This is a book series that I feel like a lot of people have talked about, a lot of my friends love, a lot of booktubers that I watch love this series, and I feel like most people have at least heard of this book series. I'm here to tell you it is worth the read. This follows Evie, and Evie goes to Manhattan in the 1920s to live with her uncle who runs an occult shop, and Evie is psychic. It's basically about her trying to track down this like magical murder using her abilities, and it is just so good. We're also following a bunch of people in the city who also have magical abilities, and all of their plot lines kind of like intermingle, and it's just very good. So if you love like the 1920s, if you like Manhattan, if you like some magic, I think you're gonna wanna pick this up. It is absolutely deserving of all the hype, and it is just really good. Okay, and then I thought that I would end with 2 middle grades. So the very first middle grade is The Girl Who Drank the Moon, and this is by Kelly Barnhill. This is a book that I feel like most people have talked about. I remember when it first released, it was everywhere on Booktube. It's so worth the hype. It's so worth all of the praise. I think it's actually one of the best middle grades I've ever read in my entire life. This is about a swamp witch, and the swamp witch delivers unwanted babies to a neighboring town. One year, the swamp witch finds a little girl, and she accidentally feeds her moonlight instead of starlight, which is what she's been feeding all of the babies to kind of sustain them. And she gives this little girl magical powers. And so she decides to adopt her, and they grow up together in the swamp. And it's so beautiful, like the found family, the magic. There are so many wonderful and memorable characters. I think adults would love this. I think children will love this. I think teenagers will love this. It's absolutely worth all of the hype and more. Please pick it up if you love middle grade. Cannot recommend this enough. And finally, maybe one of the most overhyped books on Booktube, which I think completely deserves the hype, is my favorite middle grade, and that is Nevermoor by Jessica Townsend. Please just read it. I mean, I'm telling you, like, the reason people love this is because it is a literal masterpiece. It is absolutely perfect in every single way. I love this book. This book is about Morgan Crow, and Morgan is cursed to die. However, she is saved in the nick of time by a man named Jupiter North, who decides to enter her into magical trials. And if Morgan can get through all of these trials, she will be admitted into a magical secret society called the Wondrous Society. This is so fast-paced. This is so magical. The found family is fantastic. The world-building elements are fantastic. And it is a book series that gets better and better with every single book. Well, there you have it, you guys. Those are my list of overhyped books that I think are worth all of the hype. I'm sure you guys have quite a few as well, so please let me know what books you guys love down in the comments that are possibly overhyped. Also, have you read any of these books? Do you agree with my opinion? Do you think that these are worth the hype? Or do you think that they are a little overhyped? I would love to know. I think that's it for now, you guys, though. So until next time, book lovers, keep your head in the clouds and your heart in a book. And I will talk to you very soon. Bye!
Always think of you when spring comes, like it's something in the air.